Bobby Burns is a YouTube content creator with 800,000 subscribers, a pretty loyal fan base even if his views have been fluctuating a lot in the past few months, and honestly, he's one of the most talented people on this website. And when you think about Bobby Burns, there may be a few keywords that come to mind. Perhaps musician, artist, Shane Dawson's friend, someone who looks like he's a heroin addict, Dane DeHaan lookalike, but to me there is one word in particular that comes to mind: manipulator. And there's a lot that goes into this conclusion that I reached through looking into all of this drama and watching it unfold, and I intend on explaining that today on this episode, being the first and maybe only episode of Delving Deeper. There have been a lot of videos about Bobby Burns in the past few months, to say the least. From the videos by iNabber, Marky, Honest, the infamous ones by Standard Procedure, and a plethora of other creators who have wanted to take a bite out of the Bobby Burns hate train pie. And who could blame them? They get hundreds of thousands of views, the audience reception is generally pretty positive, and oh wait, I'm getting ahead of myself, aren't I? Because before we really get into the meat of this video and discuss the backlash, we have to take a look at some of the context of the situation so that those of you who don't know what I'm talking about can understand what the fuck is going on. Bobby Burns is a YouTube content creator who's been posting content for almost 5 years on his current channel, and has done everything from film reviews to parody trailers, commentary videos, video essays, vlogs, weird game show things, and he divides each content type into a phase from 1 to the current 6.0, essentially allowing him to be creatively free and make whatever he wants, while also providing some consistency to his fans for a short period of time before he switches his content type again. I've been watching his videos for 3 years or so, originally watching his film reviews, and then really enjoying his commentary videos due to how well put together and thoughtful they were. If you aren't super familiar with his content, then you may remember his video about emotional manipulation that really put him in the map over a year ago, with people like Pyrocynical and I'm Alex talking about his video on their own channels. On November 22nd of 2017, he uploaded his video titled Shane Dawson, the Conspiracy Theorist, in which he talks about the various flaws that he sees with Shane Dawson, who I'm sure you've heard of before if you've been on YouTube for any amount of time. And this video stayed at a few 100,000 views for a few weeks. It had a relatively positive reception, but the views eventually faded out and nobody really gave the video a second thought. It was a pretty good video, but nothing special for Bobby's channel. Bobby kept uploading videos normally, whatever. But interestingly enough, a month later, Shane Dawson uploaded a video called Confronting My Hater, during which he watched Bobby's video, said that he liked the video without giving any real responses other than random quips and jokes, and he took a look at some of the rest of Bobby's videos and decided that he actually likes him and invited him out to Los Angeles to make videos with him, which was an interesting turn of events to say the least. At this point, the YouTube community had become interested, with a few people making videos about why they find this sort of drama, or lack thereof, interesting, and how they are excited to see how things turn out.
These two creators have a very interesting thing going on right now, because Bobby Burns made a video criticizing Shane Dawson, and then Shane Dawson made a response video to that criticism, which is already really interesting.
And so Bobby gladly accepted the offer. He flew out to LA to see Shane, and the next video posted on Shane's channel was called Confronting My Hater in Person, during which they discussed the video that Bobby had created prior, and Bobby basically took back everything he said and made sure to stroke Shane's ego just a bit.
Manipulating people and not being honest and making terrible content.
It's that specific video that I was talking about. That specific series. It wasn't a problem that you talked about merch. The Illuminati problems, it was part of a bigger issue.
It makes me dumb.
I didn't say you were dumb, I said you looked dumb.
Oh yeah, I've been a fan of your channel for forever. Yeah. Whenever I was really young, I wasn't allowed to get on YouTube by myself. So whenever I go over to like a friend's house, I'd like get on YouTube and like they'd be like doing something in the other room, and then they'd be like, "What are you doing?" Like, "Nothing." I would always like sneak to the other room and watch them.
What you're gonna do is be a woman of your word. Now you have to get his penis erect. So what you're gonna do is just suck his dick.
They discussed the video that Bobby made in detail, and Shane seemed to be trying to challenge the expectations set beforehand by other YouTubers who don't tend to respond to criticism, and show that he's different from the average everyday fuckboy. He showed some real heart, and I think he managed to connect with his audience and Bobby's in a way that not a lot of channels do. And next what happened was Bobby and Shane made a few videos together on Shane's channel. The audience reception wasn't very positive on them, and they clearly knew that the videos just weren't very good, and so Shane went back to making his content like documentaries and conspiracy videos videos, and Bobby went back to his channel to try out making his new content like vlogs. Keep in mind, this was a complete 180-degree turn from what he was doing before. Not only had he now alienated his old fans who had subscribed for his commentary videos, like the Shane Dawson one, but he also pushed away the new rush of 600,000 Shane Dawson fans who had also subscribed to him from the commentary videos that Shane said he liked. And that is what his own audience went over to Bobby's channel for. And then, all of a sudden, with no notice other than saying that there was some new content that he had never done before that he wanted to try out, that he would be making now that he was in LA, he completely changed to a different content type, one that his audience wasn't a very big fan of, to say the least. Especially seeing how most commentary channels make videos criticizing other popular vloggers like Jake Paul, and then Bobby just starts doing vlogs out of nowhere. This is when Bobby started to slowly lose subscribers. At his peak, he had nearly 900,000, and by now he's dipped down to 800,000. A number which will probably be even lower once this video is posted, seeing how my upload schedule is. Now, during this period of time, a number of videos were created criticizing Bobby's new content, accusing him of being a fame-hungry clout chaser, only changing his content because he thinks it will get him more views, and explaining how they thought he manipulated Shane to get views and subscribers. And originally, when I was going to make this video, I was going to prove all these guys wrong. I was going to prove why Bobby didn't do any of these things and point out all the logical and fallacies with the people's arguments, and explain why I really like Bobby Burns and why the commentary community is wrong. That's what I was going to do with this video. I wanted to try and be positive. I was trying to make something that would compliment someone and show everyone why the commentary community is a view-hungry, hate-filled group of retards, for the most part. But I just can't bring myself to do that. Because when you really delve deep, when you really look into the meat of the Bobby Burns drama, when you analyze the videos and Bobby's actions and what he's actually saying during this whole situation from everything that has happened online, there's really only one conclusion that any semi-intelligent person would reach. Bobby is a manipulator, and he's sort of a shithead. So, now that we know the context, let's take a look at some of the points during the past few months when Bobby has slipped up and sort of shown some inconsistencies with what he is saying that can hint at his manipulation of Shane and the YouTube audience as a whole. The first thing to look at is his complete kiss-ass teacher's pet attitude he has when he meets Shane. If you look at his video again, like I said, he's pretty fucking harsh. He calls Shane dumb, he calls his content terrible content, and he says that Shane doesn't deserve the views and money that he's getting because of how bad he perceives his content to be. Yet, as soon as he meets Shane, it is a complete 180-degree turn. Now, obviously, you would expect him to be nice and cordial when talking to Shane and treat him with some respect like you would when you're talking to anyone. In his videos, he's playing up his thoughts with his tone for entertainment purposes, as most commentary channels do, including me. So there's nothing wrong with him being pleasant and not being a total douche in person. I wouldn't call that, on its own, being a cocksucker. It's just being a decent human being who isn't a complete social retard. I've talked to some of the YouTubers that I've critiqued, like The Gamer from Mars, Solar Sans, Tim Tom, and Jaden Animations, and while I was harsh in my videos, obviously I was still nice to them when talking to them because I was just criticizing their content. They didn't message me asking to talk about my videos, and I was like, sure thing, you dumb cunt. No, I was nice and I heard them out. But Bobby's doing a little more than just being respectful and having basic human decency, isn't he?
So what you're gonna do is just suck his dick.
It's weird because Bobby seems to basically just be making excuses for Shane's content and chalking everything up to a lack of communication or understanding, which is pretty deceptive. Now, perhaps Bobby was slightly more harsh in person, and his thoughts were more negative and critical in person than what we saw, because keep in mind that this video was edited by Shane's editor, so it's possible that some things were cut, but personally, I doubt that Shane would do that because I have no reason to believe that he would lie by omission or leave out any context, and you would think that Bobby would say something publicly if Shane decided to cut out a bunch of this criticism that he gave him in person, and basically manipulate the audience's perception of what was happening. Naturally, if the videos we saw were reflective of their interactions, there are only 3 conclusions that I can draw from this. 1. Bobby decided to be a kiss-ass in person because he's a pussy. 2. Bobby didn't actually believe any of the criticism that he gave in the video about Shane and just did it for views and attention rather than giving an actual critique. 3. Bobby decided to basically take back, in a way, everything he said about Shane and downplay his criticism because he wanted to take advantage of Shane's massive fan base and take a piece of the pie for his own. And personally, I believe the third theory. One of the most popular videos about Shane Dawson was by a YouTuber named Standard Procedure, someone of questionable integrity, but that's mostly a story for another day. Standard Procedure gained most of his subscribers from his series of videos about Bobby Burns that he created, where he criticizes him and accuses him of manipulation, the most popular of of which he removed due to the backlash that he received. Bobby came out on Twitter explaining that Standard Procedure actually sent him a message saying that he didn't believe any of the shit that he said in the video and only did it for views, and Bobby's girlfriend also recorded a video of herself talking about it. Standard Procedure made a pretty terrible response, showing that he is a shill and has no self-awareness whatsoever.
Personally, I thought he was actually fired, so that's why I put it in the title, and also sweet views, if you know what I mean.
And obviously I'm not going to defend what Standard Procedure did, he's a complete shithead. But Bobby's a bit of a hypocrite in this situation. It's rather interesting that he would have a problem with someone making a video for views and being a kiss-ass when they talk to the target of the video, considering how he did the same exact fucking thing.
Yeah, I've been a fan of your channel for
Terrible content.
whenever.
PsychIRL, another YouTuber with a pretty sizable audience, has made 2 videos about Bobby Burns, and 2 videos with him, during all 4 of which she talked about the backlash and the extremely critical response of Bobby's change in content from the commentary community on YouTube, and how this affected Bobby's mental health. In her videos, she addresses how she believes that Bobby changed his content simply as a means to feel creatively fulfilled.
But I disagree. I think Bobby is creating content that he does enjoy, but some of his audience just doesn't like it.
And while this is a viewpoint that I, to an extent, agree with, I still see a lot of flaws with it, and it seems to be that she's sort of defending Bobby in a point that most people weren't really criticizing him for. For one, this doesn't explain why Bobby would essentially disown his own video about Shane and just treat his own criticisms as null and void. Now, one could say that he was only being super nice and condemning and trying to cast aside his own criticisms because of the generosity that Shane had shown him, having flown him out to LA and actually offering him a job. One would expect that he would be grateful, and I don't think that Bobby changed his content because he thought that his new audience would like it. Shane isn't exactly a vlogging channel, so for someone to reach the conclusion that Bobby changed his content in an effort to cater to the new audience from Shane Dawson is pretty dumb, and I don't see why you would think that. It is basically an example of correlation without causation, ascertaining that Bobby changed his content right after he received more subscribers, therefore he changed his content because of his new subscribers, and I don't subscribe to that notion. However, I do think that Bobby was being pretty dishonest and manipulative with Shane, due to the prospect of more fame. He saw the opportunity at more growth and fame and the ability to make whatever he wanted, and he took it. He just didn't see the backlash that was just around the corner, and clearly he wasn't ready for it, evident by the next video that they created together.
Did it affect your outside life at all, or
The
just like the backlash, I guess?
oh, destroyed my entire life completely. Oh yeah. Like it got to the point where I didn't leave my house ever. I stayed in bed most days. I think I did like it like crumpled everything around me.
The backlash, as you just saw, essentially destroyed his social life and mental health. And while I can sympathize with Bobby, I can't help but feel that this is all his fault. He responded to the controversy, in a way, in a video that was sort of a skit, when he was talking with a character called Nasty, whom he has been featuring on his channel lately, and a past version of himself sort of explains how Nasty is a personification of the hate and criticism being directed at Bobby from the YouTube community. This video basically reflects what PsychIRL said in her video, that Bobby changed his style of video to be creative and try and evolve as a YouTube personality, supposedly not out of greed, and I guess I can't blame Bobby too much. He seems to be young and inexperienced, which I can relate to, and as a result, he didn't realize that his actions online would really have consequences, and after going after people for so long and scrutinizing them, he didn't seem to understand that others were scrutinizing and watching him. So many people looked up to him and loved his content when he was making commentary videos, and to see him fall from grace is pretty sad. He could have made the commentary community a hell of a lot better, and he honestly did, having inspired many of the people who made videos about him to make their own content, including me, which is part of what makes this drama so interesting and almost tragic in nature. Bobby used to be one of us. He used to be a commentator who pointed out the scummy and shit content on YouTube for what it is, and was honestly one of the best in the genre, breaking the average boring facecam mold of people making repetitive, boring shit to take a more artistic angle that most commentators hadn't done at the time, and still don't do. And Bobby's old critique videos serve as great examples for anyone who's looking to break into the genre today. Bobby had the chance to ascend the genre and make something different that he said he'd been wanting to make for a while, but he got too greedy with it. He dick sucked a little too hard, and it seems that despite some of the criticism thrown towards him being somewhat flawed and the intentions of many of the people probably being muddied, as some of them probably only made their videos to spread negativity and get views, the backlash I think was still absolutely deserved, regardless of the intentions. Bobby had the chance to leave the community and fly away to greener pastures, but he flew too close to the sun, and now he's slowly plummeting down towards the water until he'll have nothing left. The story of Bobby Burns is a cautionary tale of sorts, about someone who had a real passion and drive for what they were doing, but got too greedy and too comfortable and assumed that no one would notice. But if there's one thing that I've learned from my time on the internet, both as a YouTube viewer and as a creator, it's that once you get even a little bit of attention, someone's always going to be watching. And in this case, it just happened to be me, and the 50 other people who made videos about this. It seems that since the controversy, Shane has moved on to better things, and while I'm sure he still talks to Bobby, I think he has other things on his mind, like his TanaCon series, his recent documentary series about Jeffree Star, in which each video basically has the same fucking title. And he seems to have reflected on his time making videos with Bobby, and just has other things going on in his life right now. Nowadays, Bobby has turned to making weird vlog type videos and music videos, as well as recently coming out as bisexual, and seeming to be in a much better place mentally than he was at the height of his controversy, even if his views aren't nearly what they were. And regardless of if Bobby ends up fading into obscurity, this was certainly one of the most interesting chapters in YouTube history, and one that I'm glad I was able to watch unfold. I wish you the best, Bobby Burns, and good luck. Something tells me that, out of everyone, you could use a little.